Mercedes time! Mercedes is the archer amongst the 6 hero classes in Maple whose kit comes with tons of mobility, most of their attacks comboing into each other, and a link skill that's definitive for grinding, which gives flat XP. That combo system of theirs has undergone some major changes since it was first introduced to the game with their release back in 2011, and it's not as strict as it used to be, thankfully. It still can't be ignored that comboing attacks together is vital to playing Mercedes, most importantly bossing, but you can get by even with very light comboing knowledge. Let's first start with all their skills they get throughout their job ranks. In the beginner tab, you get a couple nice passives, one for healing, the other for attack speed, damage against normal monsters, and instantly level 30 charm. The only other thing here is updraft, which lets you whoosh right up ropes and ladders by pressing up and jump while on them. First job immediately has a synergy with updraft too, with spirit jump. It's just a standard flash jump that you can also bind to a button, or hit jump while in the air to activate. If you launch up and off a rope or ladder with updraft, you can click spirit jump for some extra height and horizontal movement. You also get these 2 passives for extra crit rate, damage, avoidability and movement, and the typical basic mobbing skill classes usually get at first job. Second job has all these passives: attack speed, damage, stats, more crit, mastery, and final attack, which gives you a chance to deal additional attacks whenever you attack with direct attack skills. Attacks like Swift Dual Shot, or second job's newest mobbing skill, Piercing Storm. Also these 2 new skills. Rising Rush works on its own and simply knocks enemies back and then up into the air. Once those enemies are airborne, you can then use Parting Shot. You can even use Parting Shot by just clicking your normal attack key right after Rising Rush. Both Rising Rush and Parting Shot are your first 2 combo skills, and there's plenty more in every other job rank, except 5th job and above. Anyways, 3rd job has 1 passive, Ignis Roar, and it stacks every time you link combo skills together, giving you an extra stage of attack speed, once, and stacking final damage up to 10 times per link you do. The buff that appears up in your buff bar lasts for 30 seconds every time the stat goes up, and you have to maintain it with at least 1 combo link every 30 seconds. Thankfully, you also get some new combo skills. Aerial Barrage directly links from Rising Rush, and can also be activated by pressing up and normal attack if you didn't want it bound to a button. Stunning Strike simply shoots forward and has a chance to stun enemies, and does more damage to said stunned enemies. Since it has no cooldown and it's quite a fast animation, this is the go-to way to reduce the cooldown of a lot more attacks you get later on. Even this one at 3rd job. Unicorn Spike sends a couple unicorns forward, and debuffs any enemies it hits, letting you deal more damage to said debuffed enemies, 9-second cooldown. Gust Dive can only be used in the air, and it just simply sends you rushing down and forward. It also gives Super Stance too. Lastly, for attacks at 3rd, Leap Tornado is one of your main mobbing skills. It too can only be used in the air, and doing so sends you up a little bit, shooting everything below you. It has a pretty nice hitbox, and also maintains momentum from the moment you jump and use it. This means you can use it immediately after a flash jump to deal damage while flying around maps. Lastly at 3rd, Water Shield is a 2-second iframe that also gives a bunch of defensive passives, 70-second cooldown, and Elemental Knights is a toggle that randomly summons up to 2 spirits to fight alongside you for a few minutes when you attack. The purple one, Shadow Spirit, does the most damage. The blue one, Ice Spirit, does less damage but has a chance to freeze enemies. And the red one, Fire Spirit, places a damage over time, dot, on enemies. 2-minute cooldown in between summoning knights. 4th job has some more combos, including this combo that every other class in the entire game gets. Maple Warrior and Heroes Will, whoa! You also get all these passives, including an upgrade to final attack and stunning strikes, and this buff. When casted, Ancient Warding gives you a bunch of % attack power and health, and some passive avoidability and knockback resistance. I know what you're here for though, all them combos. First though, let's talk about Ishtar's Ring. It's one of your main bossing skills, and also your hurricane-like skill that you hold down for however long you want. Each hit on an enemy also extends Ignis Roar's duration by 0.1 seconds. It can also be used while moving and jumping around, but you can't flash jump while it's active. Okay, now combo skills. Lightning Edge rushes you straight forward, no cooldown. Spikes Royale sends you into the air, hitting enemies and debuffing them with reduced IED for a minute, 5-second cooldown. And Rolling Moonsault can only be used in the air, or after a rising rush either by clicking the skill itself or pressing down and your normal attack key. It stops your momentum and holds you in place in the air for about half a second, prevents knockback while spinning, and resets your flash jump. Not if you up jump though, for whatever reason. 4-second cooldown. Last but certainly not least, Spirit Nimble Flight is an attack cancel that lets you teleport in any cardinal direction after using a mid-air attack. 6-second cooldown. It doesn't really count as a combo skill, but it can only be used after an aerial skill, so it technically does count as one, more so as utility rather than an attack. Now for hyper skills. Wrath of Enlil is a combo skill that does big damage in a wide area in front of you, and also debuffs bosses with a debuff that ignores collision, so you won't take touch damage from the boss for a minute. 8-second cooldown. Heroic Memories is the hero equivalent to Epic Adventure, 10% damage for you and all other hero classes in your party, 1 minute uptime, 2-minute cooldown. Lastly, Elvish Blessing is a buff with no cooldown that simply gives you flat attack and some final damage passively. For hyper passives, we get to start with all the Ishtar's Ring ones. Get all of them. Reinforce for extra damage, Guard Break for extra IED, and Boss Rush for more boss damage. You want all of these because Ishtar is one of your main bossing skills you use when you have downtime in between combos, or while repositioning in a boss fight. On to the next set. Of all the Water Shield ones, Reinforce is good if you feel like you're too frail and take way too much damage, and True Immunity 1 gives some status resistance to defend against bosses debuffing you. Immunity 2 is only elemental resistance, so you can safely ignore it, as this largely doesn't help, especially when compared to your other hypers, like for Spike's Royale. So out of all three of these, you'll absolutely want Armor Break. Since its extra IED it rips off of enemies also applies to Spike's Royale's debuff, bringing that up to 50%. For the other two, you have a choice between extra damage for Spikes or extra damage to your Leap Tornado. Both are fairly good, but if you grind with Tornado often, then get Temper Link instead. Fifth job is mostly buffs and summons. The one exception being Urkala's Wrath, which is a bursty hurricane. Hold it down and you shoot straight ahead for 6 seconds, hitting a ton of lines and increasing Ignis Roar's duration by 0.3 seconds every hit. Normally while moving you stay facing that direction, but if you ever wanted to face the other way, just tap the opposite direction twice in a row. 3-minute cooldown. Sylvidia's Flight throws you on the back of not just any unicorn, the queen of unicorns. While riding her, you gain increased attack power and less damage taken, even from percent health attacks. Click the skill again to rush forward through enemies, and click the skill while holding up to fly diagonally upward and float in the air momentarily. You can also use some other skills while riding her, including Urkala's Wrath, which prevents Sylvidia from going away while it's active. While dashing, if you click jump or your flash jump key, it cancels the end lag, letting you whiz around more on your newly found unicorn friend. If you ever wanted the pony ride to end early, just click down and the attack key. 90-second cooldown. Spirit of Aluel spawns up to 3 clones when you attack that copy your attacks at a 90% chance, reducing by 20% every time they successfully copy an attack. If you're attacking with Ishtar or Urkala's though, it gets bumped down to a 50% activation chance, per hit I believe. Every 10 seconds, it also drops a big old tree on nearby enemies, and that tree drop timer gets reduced with linking together your combo skills. 3-minute overall skill cooldown. Royal Knights simply summons the Royal Lads to fight alongside you for 30 seconds with a 1.4 second cooldown in between their attacks. Clicking the skill again ends it early, and when initially casting it, that whole trumpet animation is an iframe. 3-minute cooldown. For shared hero nodes, let's start with Maple World Goddess's Blessing. It builds up a charge every 3 minutes up to 2 charges, and clicking the skill gives you an enhanced version of Maple Warrior and some extra damage for a minute. Freud's Wisdom is a buff that stacks up to 6 times. Clicking it the first time just reduces your skill cooldowns for 30 seconds, and every 25 seconds you can click it again to add another stack, combining all previous other stacks. The second stack gives status resistance, the third gives all stats, the fourth gives attack and magic attack, the fifth gives boss damage, and the sixth and final stack gives you a 30-second iframe. The only downside is if you forget to click it again for the 5 seconds before it goes away, or if you die while it's still active, it goes away entirely and goes on the full cooldown, which is 4 minutes. And finally, for shared archer nodes, Vicious Shot lets you exceed 100% crit rate, and converts a percentage of all your crit rate into crit damage for 30 seconds. 2-minute cooldown. Lastly, probably my favorite shared skill in the entire game. Guided Arrow is a toggle with no cooldown that flies to and through enemies when you attack, whooshing around and dealing extra damage to normal enemies. Well, how am I going to make Mercedes easy to play? Oh, like this. Here's how. When riding Sylvidia, remember you can break out of her long flutter at the end by clicking either your jump key or your flash jump key if you bound that to a button. For grinding, cycling around your 5th job skills one at a time helps clear out the map, along with just using your bigger AoE mobbing skills such as Spikes Royale, Wrath of Enlil, and Rolling Moonsault. While waiting for those cooldowns, send yourself up into the air and keep mobbing with Leap Tornado, as that does a ton of damage and has a pretty large hitbox, hitting multiple platforms. For bossing, make sure to maintain your debuffs on the boss. Enlil's debuff isn't that important since it's just touch collision damage, but Unicorn Spikes gives 30% extra damage, and Spikes Royale reduces enemy defense by 30 to 50%. All 3 of these debuffs last for a minute, so just remember to pop them at least every minute if you can. Mercedes has 4 skills that give super stance, which prevents you from being knocked back by anything, as well as 2 other skills that force you to follow through with their movement, acting as pseudo super stance skills. For super stance, you have Aerial Barrage, Gust Dive, Rolling Moonsault, and Spikes Royale. You can't be knocked back in any capacity during the animation of any of these. For forced movement skills, which work a little differently, you have Rising Rush's first part where it goes forward, and Lightning Edge. The difference between super stance and forced movement is you can still be hit stunned during the animations of forced movement skills, whereas super stance keeps you safe until their animation completely ends. While Lightning Edge isn't a teleport, it does lift you off the ground, meaning you can use Spirit Nimble Flight immediately after clicking it and teleport in whichever direction. This helps to get past Part 1 Lotus Lasers, or something like Von Bon's Ground Stomp, or you could just use your iframes via Water Shield or Royal Knights too. Okay, now let's get this combo-shaped elephant out of the room. One of the biggest reasons people are scared of playing Mercedes is all their combo capabilities. It is part of their DNA and identity, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not as complicated as some make it out to be. If you want to main this class, then yeah, the more combos you learn, the better all your bossing will flow. But thankfully, you don't really need to combo much while grinding. Just toss in a Wrath of Enlil and link it with Spikes Royale, Rolling Moonsault, or Unicorn Spike whenever you need an Ignis Roar stack. With that out of the way, let's get into some bossing combos, starting off easy. Stunning Strikes into Enlil, back into Strikes to reduce Enlil's cooldown. The Mercedes Discord specifically cites this as the bare minimum replacement for holding down Ishtar's ring. You don't hold Stunning Strikes down the entire time though, just tap it. Strikes reduces the cooldown by a second before and after Enlil's use, for a total of 2 seconds shaved off it. This synergy applies to all your combo skills with cooldowns, so it's heavily advised to use Stunning Strikes before and after most cooldown skills, and also put strikes on a button you're comfortable clicking often. Keeping that in mind, let's get into some that require a bit more effort. Another combo for maintaining most of your debuffs. Strikes, Unicorn Spike, strikes again, Enlil, strikes another time, back into Ishtar. This is a useful combo if you can't move around much or have to remain stationary. If you can move around though, Enlil, strikes, Unicorn, strikes, spikes, Leaf Tornado, Gust Dive, face the opposite direction, strikes, repeat. This is a longer combo, but it's also not very strict. The Mercedes Discord guide says you can swap around Unicorn and Enlil for quicker animation reasons, as well as remove either Leap Tornado or the last Stunning Strikes, so the combos look like this respectively. Lastly, they state this as the highest DPM combo. Enlil, strikes, Unicorn, strikes, Rising Rush, Aerial Barrage, Leap Tornado. Apparently it doesn't work too well against smaller bosses or maps with higher ceilings, as you'll be too high to maintain the damage on the boss. There's more combos depending on if you have a cooldown hat, and also a bunch more less common combo strings with Sylvidia or the Mercopter, but I'm trying to keep it simple for those interested in this class and just want a good idea of what to do. This isn't a be-all end-all list of combos by any means. I just included what I see to be as some of the more important ones people most commonly use as of making this guide, and the ones the guide listed. Again, placement of keys to be in comfortable, memorable positions will make learning these much easier. Don't feel too defeated if you can't do the bigger strings quite yet. Try to get the hang of doing the smaller strings first, like strikes and Enlil, then start including more skills into them from there. For link skills, as usual, it's roughly the same as every other class. Grinding skills are a little different at least, since you have the XP link built into your character. You'll still want to fill out the rest of the slots with Evan, Aran, Lara for more normal enemy damage, and whatever else damage links you have or want to use. A layout roughly looking like this. For bossing links, go for purely damage links, Lumi for IED, and Demon Slayer and Lyn for boss damage, Kana and Demon Avenger, and prioritizing all the crit rate links if you have Vicious Shot, something like this. If you ever need more survivability after reviving, Resistance Link is always a good option, just to have a cooldown period of about 8 seconds every time you revive. For inner ability, thankfully you don't need attack speed +1, since you're a fancy little class that reaches the attack speed cap with just decent speed infusion, Monster Part Green Potion, and doing any slight amount of comboing and getting Ignis Roar on your buff bar. That being said, first line you'll want boss damage, and second and third lines you'll want crit rate and abnormal status damage. Boss damage is self-explanatory, crit rate is here purely for Vicious Shot, and abnormal status damage because you'll have your debuff on bosses pretty much permanently. For settles, the typical Mesa or drop, flat attack, or cooldown skip. You'd think Mercedes would want cooldown skip because of all their link skills with various cooldowns, and you're kinda right. It's not their best option though. It's a fine enough settle line, being able to skip the cooldown of things like AB Link, Unicorn Spikes, etc. Again, since inner ability presets exist now, you could set one up with both Meso and drop on it for grinding purposes, and fill in the remaining line with whatever you feel like. For Trinodes, for the most part you can't go wrong if you plan to keep your Mercedes around as one of your mains. They have 10 to choose from, and out of those 10, they want 9. Grouping by usefulness/purpose, starting with bossing. Ishtar's Ring, Stunning Strikes, and Unicorn Spike. Ishtar is your main bossing skill, kind of. Stunning Strikes reduces combo skill cooldown and also increases advanced final attack damage, and Unicorn Spike for damage and its massive debuff you'll always want on bosses. Onto grinding Trinodes, you'll want Leaf Tornado, Spikes Royale, and Wrath of Enlil. Leap Tornado is your main grinding skill, has a huge hitbox and aerial mobility, as well as boosts Gust Dive damage. Spikes Royale gets you into the air and has a big hitbox, and Enlil similarly has a big hitbox and really high damage. Lastly for, as the Mercedes Discord guide calls it, the supplementary Trinode, Elemental Knights, Lightning Edge, and Rising Rush, which also boosts Rolling Moonsault and Aerial Barrage. This one is the least important for boosting damage in an overall tremendous way, but if you plan on maining this class, it's recommended to eventually get. These are all skills you'll be using frequently, and realistically it's just to get a touch more DPS at much higher levels. So early on you'll more so want to focus on getting these 2 first Trinode sets, but in the long run it's good to boost everything except Swift Dual Shot/Piercing Storm. For Burst/BA, make sure Elemental Knights is on, along with Guided Arrow and all your other basic buffs. Before this burst rotation, you could apply your debuffs from Unicorn Spike, Spikes Royale, and Wrath of Enlil beforehand too, to save time or to do it after using Sylvidia's Flight, and pop your longer buffs like Heroic Memories, Maple World Goddess's Blessing, Spirit of Eluel, Royal Knights, and Vicious Shot. From there, pop AB Link, and if you haven't yet, pop all your debuffs I previously mentioned, then hold Urkala's Wrath for 6 seconds, dismount Sylvidia by clicking down in your normal attack key, and just combo with the combo of your choosing. There isn't one set combo to choose here, as different ones work better for different situations, so as a broad suggestion, go with whichever one you're most comfortable using. If you wanted to be super strict though, the ideal highest DPM combo would be Wrath of Enlil, Stunning Strikes, Unicorn Spike, Stunning Strikes again, Rising Rush, Aerial Barrage, Leaf Tornado. This comes with the added advantage of staying in place horizontally, which is great for Ring of Restraint users. Shorten down. Toggles, buffs, Sylvidia's Flight, Heroic Memories, Maple World Goddess's Blessing, Spirit of Eluel, Royal Knights, Vicious Shot, 8B Link, debuffs, hold Urkala's Wrath, debuffs optionally here again, down and normal attack key to dismount, and then combo away with the combo of your choosing. If you can get the hang of comboing comfortably on Mercedes, you have bossing figured out even with just learning like 2 or 3 different combo strings for different situations. Mercedes' burst is almost entirely reliant on making sure the boss is debuffed and then comboing away. Mercedes has got a lot of utility and situational skills for bossing, and a fairly simple playstyle when it comes to grinding. Their combos aren't even all that scary, and it's kinda weird to me that even after nothing but numerous buffs for the past 2 or 3 years, people still stigmatize them for some reason. If you practice like 2 or 3 combos, bossing becomes second nature and you won't have to stress over what to remember half the time. The more complicated combos can produce better results, obviously, but try not to compare yourself to those who have mastered said combos as something you also have to achieve right out the gate. You'll get better at the more in-depth ones in time. Thanks to the Mercedes Discord for their massive guide detailing tons of little quirks with certain skills, as well as listing a bunch of combos and reasons as to why certain skills work better with certain combos, how to restructure them, etc. And thank you for watching this video. If there's another class you want me to go over, suggest it to me down in the comments. If you like these guides and want to support the channel, or just like hearing my voice talk about MapleStory things, consider subscribing to the channel. Combo classes are really fun to me, so I'm glad people wanted to see me cover Mercedes. There's a few more combo classes out there I'd love to cover eventually too. Maybe the next guide will be another combo class. That's all.